Jaya and Sabaody are as similar as Alabasta and Dressrosa, and both connected to Elbaf, which will be a combination of the two. With each chapter this is becoming more and more clear. Luffy found Loki, the strongest giant, chained to a tree. When he arrived in Sabaody, the strongest there had also been captured. Rayleigh was about to be sold into slavery. He freed himself and fellow captive Stanson, who joined the new giant warrior pirates. That crew is currently on Elbaf. The accursed prince is said to have devoted himself to darkness. Rayleigh is called the Dark King. Roger's partner became Luffy's mentor. In Elbaf, Straw Hats will meet Roger's apprentice and Luffy's original mentor, Shanks. Perhaps the crew will step into the bar Shanks was in before he crushed Kid. Many important scenes in Mocktown took place in bars. In Sabaody, the crew was given important information in Sharky's bar. Giants, like the Red Hat Pirates, drink a lot. The arc started with heavy alcohol. After drinking, some Straw Hats woke up in a castle made out of Lego bricks. In Jaya, they stumbled upon Cricket's 2D plywood fake castle. They just fought a masked giant. Before they reached Sabaody, they had to fight a 15-foot tall guy with an iron mask. Rhodes' non-giant underling rode a grasshopper bike. Duval's normal-sized underlings rode flying fish bikes. Both times, the Straw Hats were caught in an iron net. Both opponents held grudges against the crew for becoming associated with it. Rhodes was made a member of Luffy's Grand Fleet against his will. Duval was considered a member of Luffy's crew due to looking like Sanji's bounty portrait. Ironically, the crew had taken no notice of either ugly obsessive stalker until they fought them. Even then they could not take Duval nor Rhodes seriously. Rhodes' group resembles the Flying Fish Riders, who in turn resemble the Monkey Mountain Alliance. The Straw Hats ran into Masira shortly before arriving in Jaya. He lifted a shipwreck from the seafloor, where he fought Luffy, Sanji and Zoro. The Riders pulled Straw Hats underwater to drown them. Both were bands of thieves. The monkeys were salvagers, the riders slavers. One group stole a sunken ship, the other stole a mermaid from the Sunny. Rhodes stole the Sunny and the Straw Hats on it. The defining feature of Elbaf is a giant tree. The giants live on its branches, similar to Sabaody, which is not an actual archipelago, but rather a forest of huge trees growing out from the ocean. Each tree is treated as an island, so Sabaody has no magnetic pull to affect the log poles. Normally ships sail north, south, west or east. The Jaya arc began with the log post pointing to the sky. The Sabaody arc began with the log post pointing into the sea. The crew had to find ways to go up and down. When told about Fishman Island being 30,000 feet down on the seafloor, Zoro pointed out how Skypiea was 30,000 feet up in the sky. Same distance, just opposite direction. In Sabaody, Luffy sat on a resin bubble, trying to go as high as possible, but it popped quickly. Later those bubbles were used to go down to Fishman Island. Due to all this, Elbaf will also be about going up and down. There won't be another underwater island like that of the Fishmen under Elbaf, but perhaps there is something exciting on top of the tree or above it. Many mention Jack and the Beanstalk to argue that the tree will lead to a Sky Island, but merely going to a Sky Island again would be boring. The Straw Hats had to go through Fishman Island to enter the New World. In real life, New World refers to the Americas before they were fully colonized. American settlers believed in manifest destiny, in extending the frontier. In his famous speech on putting a man on the moon, JFK called space the new frontier. Straw Hats conquered the New World, the old frontier, so it's time to think about the new frontier, the moon. The gigantic tree on Elbaf is most likely the Adam tree. Its sister tree was on Sabaody. Fishman Island was directly under the Eve tree. Perhaps the moon is directly above the Adam tree, above Elbaf. The city on the moon that Enel found is called Burka. Real life Burka was a Viking town. Enel has an attack called El Thor, named after the Nordic god. Urush, like Enel, is from Sky Island Burka. He hasn't interacted with the Straw Hats since the time skip. It's time. We first saw Sky Islanders in Jaya, at least shadows of them. In Sabaody, the worst generation was introduced. In Elbaf, the Sky Islander of the worst generation will appear. He will want to destroy Enel for destroying their home. Maybe he has developed a plan to go into space. Luffy will be persuaded to carry it out. Whatever the method for reaching the moon is, it will strain the Sunny. In Jaya, Cricket prepared the Mary for the knock-up stream. In Sabaody, Rayleigh coated the Sunny for submerging. Cricket entrusted Luffy with finding Nolan's treasure. Rayleigh entrusted Luffy with finding Roger's treasure. Roger's first mate prepared the ship for Fishman Island. Roger's apprentice's first mate will prepare the ship for space. In an SBS, Oda called Ben Beckman Shanks' moon. He also revealed him to be the smartest man of the East Blue Saga, possibly named after inventor Arnold Beckman. He will modify the Sunny. Cricket sent the Straw Hats into the tropical forest. There they encountered giant versions of insects, like mantises, ladybugs, beetles and slugs. In Rhodes' fake Elbaf, Nami killed giant bees called Stingmore. There was also the giant serpent Hilmungarda. On the half of Jaya that was shot into the sky, the Straw Hats encountered giant snake Nola. They went into Jaya's jungle to find a south bird. The giants call their tree Yggdrasil. There is a bird on top of the original Yggdrasil, called Veduffolnir. Perhaps Straw Hats will have to climb Yggdrasil, aka the Adam Tree, to catch a Veduffolnir-inspired bird. The south bird was needed to locate the knock-up stream. Perhaps a Veduffolnir-like bird is important for getting to the moon. Jaya and Sabaody were lawless places. Elbaf is not part of the world government. The giants believe in might makes right. Disputes are resolved by fighting. Lawlessness attracts pirates. Jaya and Sabaody were gathering points for them. Elbaf is full of Vikings, Oda's favorite historical pirates and original inspiration. There were many wanted men in Jaya, but apart from Luffy, all worth less than 100 million berries. In Sabaody, the supernovas were introduced. They all had bounties higher than 100 million. The only members of the worst generation that was missing on Sabaody, Blackbeard, had already been introduced in Jaya. The first pirates introduced with a bounty of at least 100 million were Dory and Broggy, who just escorted the crew to Elbaf. In Mocktown, Blackbeard was looking for a 100 million berry bounty man. He had sent Lafitte to marry Joa to express his interest for the vacant warlord spot. To demonstrate his usefulness, he wanted to capture a notorious pirate. He started chasing Luffy while being chased by his former commander. Ace was at the time sleeping on Buggy's ship. Buggy's crew advised its captain to hand Fire Fist over to the government, but he declined due to Whitebeard's willingness to come for anyone who lays hands on his crew. During Sabaody, Ace's execution was announced. Blackbeard had the guts to do what Buggy wouldn't. In Jaya, we heard the tale of Nolan's execution. In Sabaody, Rayleigh revealed details about Roger's execution. Ace's biological father gave himself in. Nolan was executed for supposedly not finding the City of Gold. Roger was executed for finding the One Piece. Cricket believed that his ancestor found Chandora, but he couldn't be sure. Rayleigh knew that Roger found Laugh Tale, because he was there. He offered to tell Luffy everything. Nolan's death is used to dissuade people from dreaming. Roger started the Great Age of Pirates with his final speech, where he smiled. Nolan didn't smile in his final moment, though people claim he did. Luffy called Cricket Diamond Head due to the chestnut on his head, inherited from Noland. So in Jaya we learn about the execution of diamond-headed Noland. In Sabaody, the execution of the captain of the Spade Pirates, Ace, is announced. Diamond and Spade are two of the 4 playing card suits. The others are Heart and Club. So in Elbaf, the executions of Law, captain of the Heart Pirates, and Bartolomeo, captain of the Bato Club, will be announced. Both just had their ship destroyed. Both will be put on the scaffold soon. After Law's defeat, his head fell off and was positioned similar to Ace's head at Banero Island. Nevertheless, Bato might be the more important captive. His Grand Fleet colleagues attacked a celestial dragon. His boss inflicted a loss on Saturn so heavy that he was fired. Literally, Bato will be seen as a close confidant of the youngest emperor, bait to lure Luffy into Akainu's magma fist. Just as Ace was commander of Whitebeard's 2nd Division, Bato is captain of the 2nd ship of Luffy's Grand Fleet. In Yamato's flashback, she met Ace, who talked about Luffy non-stop. Luffy is also Bartolomeo's favorite topic. His admiration began when he watched Luffy almost getting executed in Loguetown. Soon he will find himself in a similar predicament. The bad news about Ace made Luffy postpone Fishman Island. The moon will also be put on hold due to execution announcements. The Straw Hats will go to New Marineford next. But before that, Luffy will confront Shanks. The Red Hair pirate sank Barto's ship, which made him easy prey, resulting in his capture. The main antagonists of Jaya and Sabaody had similar introductions. Each shamelessly abused someone. Bellamy was shown losing in a card game. He accused the winner of cheating and stabbed him. When the victim complained, Bellamy looked to his first mate, who validated his captain. Charlos shot a man in critical condition, who was being carried by a doctor and a nurse. When bystanders showed outrage, Charlos asked his bodyguards for their opinion, and was told his actions had been justified. Charlos likes to fire bullets at people. Bellamy later acquired the nickname Bullet of Dressrosa. Charlos shot out of a golden pistol. Bellamy brought Doflamingo pillars out of gold. As a celestial dragon, Charlos is an underling of Emu. Bellamy was an underling of Doflamingo, who was a wannabe Emu. Bellamy and Charlos were as weak as they were arrogant. Nevertheless, Luffy tolerated their malignant actions at first. Nami forbade him to fight any of the pirates in Mocktown. Hachan begged him not to attack a celestial dragon, no matter what. For some time Luffy complied, stood back, but there was only so much he could take. When they hurt his friends, he flipped out, and, to the astonishment of the people around, knocked each out with one punch. Perhaps in Elbaf, Luffy will again make and break a pacifistic promise. First he was told to not fight a pirate, then a celestial dragon. Jaya plus Sabaody equals Elbaf. So in Elbaf, Luffy will, despite hesitation, hit someone that is both a celestial dragon and a pirate. Doflamingo is an Impel Down. He won't be there, but the other celestial turned pirate will. Shanks. Luffy will punch his mentor, maybe knock him out. Zoro might try to attack first. Shanks was the rival of his master. He ought to be curious about Shanks' swordsmanship. He put his blade on Bellamy's throat and also drew it against Charlos. Nami told him to back down against Bellamy. Bonnie pushed him to the ground before he could slice up Charlos. The other Straw Hats will try to calm down Luffy and Zoro. The battle against two emperors is still fresh in their minds. Obviously, Shanks won't escalate. Bellamy was punched for robbing Cricket, Charlos for shooting Hachan. Cricket had 25 million on his head, Hachan 8 million. Multiplying those gets you 200 million, which is Barto's bounty. Bartolomeo the cannibal will be the hurt friend that will make Luffy forget his manners. Hachan's favorite food is takoyaki. He also sells it. That dish is made out of octopus meat. Hachan is an octopus fishman. You could call him a cannibal too. Cricket sent his original pirate crew away. Later Mazira and Shoujo showed up, due to being huge fans of Noland, just as much as Barto is a fan of Luffy. Luffy and Shanks won't have time to argue, not just due to the looming execution. Blackbeard will finally be ready to accept Shanks' challenge from Marineford. He will bring Kid along for revenge. Since Shanks revealed that Teach gave him the scar over his eye, it was certain that Red Hair and Blackbeard would clash someday. Kid just lost his pornoglyph rubbings, and with that his purpose. He wants to destroy Shanks at least as much as Blackbeard wants to. Bound by a shared goal, they will form an alliance. Just as weaklings Bellamy and Charlos were introduced similarly, the two arcs also introduced Luffy's biggest rivals on the pirate side, Blackbeard and Kid, in analogous manners. Each affirmed Luffy's belief in dreams. At the same time, they did the opposite of what Luffy did in a particular situation. In Mocktown, the Straw Hats were laughed at for asking about an island in the sky. Bellamy told Luffy to stop dreaming and beat him up. When Luffy left the bar, Blackbeard was sitting outside and gave a supportive speech about the importance of dreams. In Sabaody, Luffy made his obligatory declaration of becoming Pirate King. Kid reacted positively to that dream, but with a twist. He remembered declaring the same and getting laughed at. While Luffy did not even fight, Kid murdered those mocking him. This is at least as stark a contrast as Luffy not liking the cherry pies that Blackbeard loved. Luffy is competitive with both. In Mocktown, Luffy and Teach tried to outdo each other in ordering food. In the Udon prison, Luffy and Kid were competing over who could get more dango. In Sabaody, when Luffy, Law and Kid were crushing marines, Luffy used Gear 3 to inflate his arm. Kid responded by making an even bigger metal arm. Teach was introduced as a future foe in Jaya. Kid and Sabaody. In Elbaf, they will join forces. Even their names link them together. In school, you teach kids. Teach wasn't just a future opponent. When he realized who Luffy was, he tried to attack him immediately. Thus, Blackbeard isn't only paralleled by Kid and Sabaody, but also by someone else, starting with the same letters. K-I, Ki, Zaru. Jaya and Sabaody both began with vile but weak villains and ended with overpowered ones the Straw Hats had to flee from. When the Straw Hats were waiting for the knock-up stream, the Blackbeard pirates appeared. Teach had seen Luffy's updated bounty and wanted to collect it. At the end of Sabaody, Kizaru arrived and chased the Straw Hats for harming celestial dragons. What a contrast! At the end of Jaya, the Darkness Logia user appeared. At the end of Sabaody, the user of the Light Logia. The crew was saved from Teach by the knock-up stream. They were saved from Kizaru by Kuma. The knock-up stream knocked them up all the way to Skypiea. Kuma used his paw fruit to send the Straw Hats flying to individual destinations. Blackbeard doesn't call himself captain anymore. He wants to be addressed as admiral, now that he owns a fleet. Jaya ended with Blackbeard attacking, and Sabaody ended with an admiral attacking. Elbaf will end with Admiral Blackbeard attacking, supported by Kid. As an admiral, he commands 10 Titanic captains, and soon uses Captain Kid as well. Kid will make up for one captain he will lose. We all know that Kuzan doesn't want to make Teach the Pirate King. When the Blackbeard pirates fight the Red Hair pirates, it will be the ideal opportunity for betrayal. The battle will take place on Elbaf, where Saul is hiding. Kuzan will ally with Shanks and reunite with his old friend from the Navy. Just like Garp and Roger fought Zebek, their students, Kuzan and Shanks, will fight the new Zebek. Against the might of Red Hair pirates, Straw Hat pirates, and Kuzan, the Blackbeard pirates and Kid stand no chance. To still give Blackbeard the win, Oda has to create a reason for Luffy to leave Elbaf. The showdown between Luffy and Teach on Elbaf will play out just as their showdown in Impel Down did. Back then, Luffy attacked Shanks but was stopped after a short skirmish. Jinbei had to remind him that saving Ace had priority. On Elbaf, Luffy will again be torn between battling Blackbeard and hurrying to Marine HQ to prevent the executions of people close to him. He will conclude that Shanks can defend himself. Saving Bato and Law will be an opportunity to atone for failing to save Ace. Shanks will fight the Admiral of Darkness on Elbaf, just as Rayleigh fought the Admiral of Light on Sabaody.